The battlefield was silent, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of death. Burned machines lay broken on the ground. Smoke rose slowly into the gray sky. The land was covered with ashes, twisted metal, and shadows of what once was life. A man walked slowly across the ruins. His name was Aaron, a soldier who had survived too many wars. His face was tired, his steps heavy. In his hand he held a small silver locket. Inside the locket was the picture of a little girl, his daughter. He opened the locket again and again, even though he already knew the picture by heart. It was all he had left of her. His daughter had died in the war. That was what everyone told him. That was what he had believed for years. But his heart never accepted it. A father never forgets. A father never stops hoping. Aaron's eyes scanned the ruins, but not for enemies. He was searching for memories. He remembered her laugh, her voice calling Papa. The pain cut him deeper than any wound. Suddenly, voices broke the silence. Aaron dropped low, hiding behind a broken wall. Enemy soldiers were coming. Their boots crunched on the dead earth as they pushed a group of prisoners forward. The prisoners were weak, dirty, and chained together. Aaron's eyes narrowed. He counted them, studying their faces. Most were strangers, but then he froze. His breath caught in his chest. Among the prisoners was a young woman. Her hair was long, messy, her face thin, but her eyes. Aaron's hand shook. His heart felt like it stopped. It was her. The same face from the locket. The same eyes he had once kissed goodnight. His daughter. Aaron gripped the wall, his knuckles turning white. His mind screamed that it was impossible. She had died. He had buried her in his heart. Yet she was there, alive, walking with the enemy. His body trembled between hope and fear. Was this real? Or was it a trick of the war? The girl did not look at him. She kept her head down, walking quietly in the chain line. The soldiers pushed her roughly, but Aaron noticed something strange. They guarded her more closely than the others. They treated her differently, like she was more important. Why? Aaron's heart pounded. His mind was a storm of questions. If this was truly his daughter, why was she with them? Why had she not called for him? Why was she alive when everyone had said she was dead? The enemy commander shouted orders. The prisoners were led toward a transport vehicle. Aaron pressed himself deeper into the shadows. His eyes never left her. Every step she took was like fire burning inside his chest. He whispered her name so soft no one could hear. Lena. The girl did not respond. She did not turn. It was as if she did not know him at all. Aaron felt tears sting his eyes. Was she brainwashed? Had the enemy stolen her mind? Or was this not her at all? Could it be someone who only looked like her? But a father knows. Deep inside, Aaron was certain. That was his daughter. The soldiers loaded the prisoners into the vehicle. Aaron's body moved before his mind did. He crawled closer, silent like a ghost. His eyes locked on her the entire time. He could not breathe. He could not think. All he could feel was the pull of blood, the bond of a father and his child. The vehicle roared to life. The commander stood tall, his black armor shining in the firelight. He shouted something Aaron could not hear, but the words did not matter. The chains rattled, the engine growled, and the girl disappeared inside. Aaron pressed his hand to the locket, pressing it so hard it almost cut his skin. He wanted to scream her name. He wanted to run forward and tear her free, but he stayed hidden. He knew if he moved now, he would die and she would be lost again. The vehicle began to roll away. Aaron's heart twisted with each turn of the wheels. He whispered to himself, voice shaking with rage and hope. She's alive. My Lena is alive. For years he had carried only pain and silence. For years he had walked as a ghost among ruins, but now, everything had changed. The war had taken his daughter once. He would not let it take her again. Aaron watched the vehicle disappear into the smoke. He clenched his fists, his jaw hard with fire. He would follow. He would find her. He would fight the entire enemy army if he had to, because now the war was no longer about nations or borders. It was about a father and his child, and nothing in the world could stop him. Aaron moved through the ruins like a shadow. His eyes followed the enemy transport in the distance until it vanished into the smoke-filled horizon. His body screamed for him to run after it, to charge and take his daughter back, but his soldier's mind whispered caution. If he rushed, he would die and she would vanish again, so he waited. He waited until the sound of engines faded, until only the broken wind moved across the battlefield. Then he rose, gripping the locket tightly in his fist. His chest felt heavy, not only from the dust but from the storm inside him. Was it truly her? Every memory in his heart told him yes. The shape of her face, the way her hair fell across her cheek, even the tired curve of her shoulders. It was Lena. His Lena. Yet something had been wrong. She had not looked at him. She had not heard him whisper her name. And her eyes were different. They were colder. Aaron walked for hours, following the tracks left by the enemy's heavy vehicle. His legs ached, but he did not slow. His heart beat like a drum inside his chest. As he moved, doubts cut at him like knives. What if it was not her? What if she had died and this was someone who only looked the same? What if the enemy was using her face to trick him? The war had been filled with lies. Soldiers wore disguises, spies used false names, machines were built to look like humans. Why would this not be the same? Aaron touched the locket again. Inside was the picture of a girl with warm eyes, smiling, filled with life. But the girl he had seen was not smiling. Her eyes were not warm. They were empty, like someone had stolen the soul from inside her. The thought made his stomach twist. At dusk, he reached the edge of a ruined city. Broken towers leaned against each other like dying giants. Fires burned inside the shells of old buildings. Enemy patrols walked the streets, their guns glowing faint red in the shadows. And near the center of the city, hidden behind tall fences, was the enemy base. Aaron crouched low on a rooftop, studying every detail. Searchlights swept the ground. Guards moved in pairs. And there in the center yard, chained with the other prisoners, was the girl. His breath caught again. Even at this distance, he knew it was her, but once more doubt gripped him. The soldiers kept the prisoners together, but she was not treated the same. While the others were kicked or ignored, she was watched closely. 2 armed guards stood on either side of her. They did not hit her. They did not let her out of their sight. Why? Aaron narrowed his eyes. His soldier's instincts told him she was important to them more than the others. They feared her, or perhaps needed her. He could see her face in the flicker of firelight. She looked older than the girl in the picture. She looked harder, colder, and when one of the prisoners tried to whisper to her, she did not answer. She only stared at the ground as if her mind was far away. Aaron's heart tore inside him. He wanted to rush down, call her name, and break her chains. But fear stopped him. Fear that if he did, she would not recognize him. Fear that she would look at him and say, "I don't know you." The thought made his chest ache worse than any wound. Hours passed. The night grew darker. The guards lit torches and patrolled the walls. Aaron stayed hidden in the shadows, watching. His body was tired, but his mind would not let him rest. Then something strange happened. The commander of the enemy base stepped out of a tall, broken building. He was a large man, dressed in dark armor that gleamed even in the firelight. The soldiers stood straighter as he passed. He walked directly to the girl. Aaron leaned forward, his breath shallow. The commander spoke to her. His voice was low, commanding, but Aaron could not hear the words. The girl lifted her head slowly. For the first time, her eyes met another's. Not Aaron's, but the commander's. Aaron's chest tightened. There was no fear in her eyes. No weakness. Instead, there was something sharp, something dangerous. She looked at the commander like an equal. And then, for just a second, Aaron saw it. The faint glow of light in her pupils, unnatural like a spark of fire. His heart pounded. What had they done to her? The commander gave an order. The guards tightened their grip on her chains and pulled her away from the other prisoners. She did not resist. She walked calmly, almost as if she belonged with them. Aaron's hand shook against his weapon. Every part of him wanted to run after her. But doubt whispered again. Was this really his daughter? Or was this someone the enemy had turned into something else? He pressed the locket to his forehead, closing his eyes. His heart screamed that she was his child. But his mind whispered that she was gone, that what stood before him was only a shadow wearing her face. He opened his eyes, watching her disappear into the building with the commander. One thing was certain. Answers waited inside, and Aaron would find them, no matter what. The night air was heavy with smoke and dust. Aaron stayed hidden on the roof, watching the commander pull his daughter into the tall building at the center of the enemy base. His chest was tight, his fists shaking. Every part of him wanted to follow right then, to break down the doors and take her away. But he held himself back. Years of battle had taught him patience, he whispered to himself. Not yet, wait, watch. So he waited. The hours dragged on like slow knives. The prisoners outside were chained together and forced to sleep on the cold ground. Guards walked in circles carrying rifles that glowed faint red in the dark. Every few minutes, a searchlight swept across the yard. But the girl, his daughter, was not brought back. Aaron's eyes never left the building. His thoughts spun faster than his heart. Why was she there? Why were they treating her differently? The soldiers had guarded her more carefully than the others. They had not beaten her, though they beat everyone else. And now she was inside with the commander himself. There was a reason. Aaron pressed his forehead against the cold stone. The war had been filled with secrets, secret weapons, secret spies, secret lies. He had seen men rebuilt with metal bones, women used as carriers for strange machines, children turned into soldiers who never grew old. He clenched the locket in his hand. Had they done the same to her? The night grew deeper and finally the doors opened. 2 guards stepped out, dragging the girl between them. She walked slowly, her face calm, but her eyes were glowing faintly in the dark, not like a human's, not like his daughter's once had. Aaron's blood froze. He followed their path silently, crawling across rooftops, slipping between shadows. The guards led her to a smaller building on the far side of the base. It was an old factory, broken windows covered with metal sheets. Machines still humming inside. Aaron found a crack in the wall and pressed his eye to it. What he saw made his breath catch. Inside, rows of enemy scientists moved between screens and machines. Wires hung like vines from the ceiling. Strange cylinders glowed with blue liquid, each holding fragments of broken metal and bone. In the center of the room stood a large platform surrounded by cables, and on that platform they chained the girl. Aaron's hands gripped the wall until his nails cut skin. He wanted to run inside, but he forced himself to watch. The commander stepped forward, speaking to the scientists. His voice was low but sharp, filled with authority. One of the scientists adjusted controls and the machines began to hum louder. Sparks lit the air. The girl did not resist. She only closed her eyes. Then it began. Energy crackled around her body. Her hair lifted as if pulled by the storm. Her chains glowed red, holding her tight. And suddenly, from her chest, a symbol of light appeared. Bright, pulsing, alive. Aaron's mouth went dry. The scientists cheered, scribbling notes, shouting to each other. The commander's eyes glowed with triumph. Aaron pressed harder against the wall. He could not believe what he was seeing. His daughter was not just a prisoner. She was the key to something far greater. The symbol on her chest flickered, and the machines connected to it reacted instantly. Screens lit up with streams of numbers. The glow spread through the cables, feeding the broken machines, waking them. Aaron understood. The enemy was using her. She was not just important. She was their secret weapon. He fell back against the wall, gasping. His heart twisted between pride and horror. Pride because his daughter was alive, powerful, more than anyone could have imagined. Horror because the enemy was controlling her, turning her into a tool for destruction. For the first time in years, Aaron felt fear not for himself, but for her. Would she even remember him now, or was she completely theirs? Inside the factory, the commander stepped close to her. Aaron could not hear the words, but he saw the man lean near, whispering something in her ear. She did not respond. She only opened her eyes, and for a moment Aaron saw them, glowing like fire yet filled with pain. The machines powered down. The symbol faded from her chest. The guards unlocked her chains and dragged her back to the yard. Aaron pressed his hand to his mouth, breathing hard. His daughter had been taken, broken and remade into something he did not understand. But she was still his daughter. He whispered into the night. "They will not keep you. I will take you back." For the first time since he had seen her, his doubt began to shift. Yes, she was changed. Yes, the enemy had touched her. But he had seen the pain in her eyes. The real Lena was still inside, and he would bring her back. Aaron slid from the rooftop and disappeared into the shadows. The enemy thought she was their secret. But now, she was his reason to fight. The night was quiet, but Aaron's mind was louder than gunfire. He had seen enough. He knew the truth now. His daughter was alive, but she was trapped in something bigger than chains. The enemy had turned her into a secret, into a weapon, and if he did nothing, they would use her until there was nothing left of her at all. Aaron crouched in the ruins outside the enemy base. his eyes fixed on the campfires that burned in the yard. His daughter Lena sat among the other prisoners. Her hands were chained, her body weak, but her face was calm. Too calm, like a soldier waiting for orders. Aaron's hand gripped the locket so tight it cut into his skin. He whispered to himself, "Tonight. I will reach her tonight." He had waited too long already. When the moon climbed higher, the guards grew lazy. Some smoked by the wall, some laughed quietly, some dozed on their feet. Aaron moved like a shadow, slipping past patrols, crawling through the dirt. Every breath was careful, every step measured. Finally, he reached the edge of the yard. Only a broken fence separated him from her. His heart pounded. He had dreamed of this moment for years, to see her, to speak to her, to tell her that she had not been forgotten. But now that it was here, fear gripped him. What if she did not remember him? What if she looked at him and saw only an enemy? He forced the thoughts away. He had to try. Aaron slid through the fence, silent as dust. He moved behind a burned cart and waited until the guard nearest her turned his back. Then he whispered, "Lena." Her head rose slowly. Her eyes searched the shadows. Aaron's throat tightened. He whispered again, louder this time, "Lena, it's me." Her eyes locked on him. For a long moment she did not move. The firelight danced across her face, and in her expression Aaron saw nothing familiar. No joy. No recognition, only coldness. "Who are you?" she whispered back. Her voice was soft but sharp, like a blade. Aaron's chest burned. He wanted to run to her, to hold her, to beg her to remember, but he stayed hidden, his voice shaking. "I'm your father." Silence. Her face did not change. She looked at him like one might look at a stranger. Finally, she spoke again. "My father is dead," the words stabbed deeper than any knife. Aaron felt his body sway, but he gritted his teeth. He would not give up. "Not now, no, Lena, they lied to you. I never stopped searching for you. I thought you were gone, but you're here. I swear to you I am real." Her eyes narrowed. For a moment something flickered inside them, but then it was gone. "You should not be here," she whispered coldly. "If they see you, they will kill you." Aaron leaned closer, desperate. "Let them try. I don't care about them. I only care about you. Please, Lena, you know me. Look at me. Look at my face, remember." Her gaze shifted, falling to his hand. The locket glinted faintly in the firelight. Her eyes widened just slightly. Aaron saw it. "A spark," she whispered almost to herself. "That locket." "Yes," Aaron said quickly. "It's yours. I kept it all these years. It was always with me, just like you were always with me." Her lips parted, but no words came. Her eyes were wet, but she blinked fast, forcing the tears away. I don't know," she whispered. They told me my family was gone. They told me I was nothing but theirs." Aaron's heart ached at the sound of her broken voice. He pressed his forehead against the fence. "Listen to me. They lied. You are mine. You are Lena. You are my daughter. And I will never let them take you again." The sound of boots crushed the moment. A guard turned and shouted. Aaron ducked back into the shadows, his heart hammering. Lena froze, her face unreadable. The guard came closer, scanning the yard. Aaron held his breath, waiting for death, but Lena spoke first. "I need water," she said to the guard. Her voice was calm, steady. "Please." The guard scowled but turned away, muttering under his breath. Aaron let out the breath he had been holding. His eyes met hers again. For the first time she looked not cold, not empty, but conflicted, torn between two worlds. Before he could speak, she whispered one last thing. "Go. If you stay, they will kill you. Come back when the time is right." Aaron's chest twisted. He wanted to refuse. He wanted to stay. But he saw the fear in her eyes. Not fear for herself, but fear for him. He nodded once silently, then slipped back into the shadows. As he crawled away, his heart was heavy, but not hopeless. She had spoken to him. She had remembered the locket. Deep inside, she was still there, but trust was not given. It had to be earned, and Aaron swore to himself that he would earn it no matter what it cost. The ruins of the city were darker than the night sky itself. Smoke curled from broken towers, and the enemy base glowed faint red in the distance. Aaron crouched in the shadows, his chest rising and falling fast. He could still see Lena's face in his mind. The way she had looked at the locket, the way her voice had cracked, just for a moment. Before she forced the cold mask back on, that spark was enough. She was still in there. Aaron wiped the sweat from his brow and whispered to himself, "Tonight, I take her back." The risk didn't matter. If he waited longer, the enemy might move her, or worse, use her again in their experiments. He couldn't allow that. He studied the base from his hiding spot. Guards circled the yard, rifles glowing faint red. Towers of broken stone had been remade into watch points with searchlights. Prisoners were chained together in the dirt, and Lena sat among them. She was calm, silent, watching the ground. Aaron's eyes never left her. The moon slid behind clouds. Darkness fell heavier. It was the chance he needed. He slipped from shadow to shadow, his movement slow but certain. He had done this 100 times before in war, sneaking through enemy lines, but never had the stakes been so high. This wasn't about missions or orders. This was about blood. This was about his child. Aaron reached the fence. He cut a narrow hole with his knife and slid inside. The smell of smoke and oil filled his lungs. His eyes darted left, then right. No one had seen him. He crawled behind a row of barrels, then crept closer to the prisoners. "Lena," he whispered. She looked up. For a moment her eyes widened. Then quickly she lowered her head again, hiding her reaction from the guards. Aaron pressed his hand against the locket, holding it up so she could see the glint. Her lips moved, so faint he barely caught the word. "Why?" Aaron whispered back. "Because you're mine. Because I promised I'd never stop fighting for you." Her eyes softened for just a second, then she looked away. But he saw her chain hand move slightly, pulling against the iron as if testing its strength. That was all he needed. Aaron moved closer, knife in hand. He worked fast, slicing at the lock while keeping his body between her and the nearest guard. His hands trembled, not from fear but from urgency. The metal finally gave with a quiet snap. "Stay low," he whispered. Lena hesitated. Her eyes flickered with doubt, with mistrust. But then she shifted her weight, ready to move. Aaron pulled her hand, and together they slipped into the shadows. But nothing stays quiet for long. The broken chain clattered against the ground. A guard turned. His eyes narrowed. "Stop," he shouted. The yard exploded into chaos. Alarms blared. Searchlights cut across the night. Guards raised their weapons. Aaron grabbed Lena's arm and pulled her forward. "Run!" They sprinted through the yard. Bullets sparked against the ground. Prisoners shouted in panic. Guards chased after them, boots thundering. Aaron pushed Lena ahead of him, shielding her with his own body. His knife flashed as he cut down one soldier, then another. His blood roared in his ears. "Keep going!" he shouted. Lena stumbled but did not fall. Her eyes glowed faintly in the darkness, the strange light Aaron had seen before. And then, without warning, she raised her chained hands. A blast of energy burst from her palms. It knocked a soldier off his feet, hurling him into the wall. Aaron's eyes widened, but there was no time to question it. "Good," he said between breaths. "Use it, fight with me." They reached the broken fence. Aaron shoved her through first, then crawled after her. The ground outside was open rubble, no cover, but he didn't care. He dragged her forward, dodging fire, running harder than he had ever run in his life. Behind them, alarms screamed. Soldiers poured out of the base. The commander himself stepped into the yard, shouting orders, his black armor shining. Aaron looked back once. His jaw clenched. This wasn't over. He pulled Lena into the ruins of the city. They ducked into a half-collapsed building, breathing hard. The world outside thundered with footsteps and shouts. For a moment, silence filled the space between them. Aaron turned to her. His chest heaved, his eyes wet. "You're safe," he whispered. "I've got you." But Lena's face was pale, her eyes unreadable. She pulled back slightly, her voice cold. "You don't understand. They'll never stop coming. You don't know what they made me." Aaron gripped her shoulders, firm but gentle. "I don't care what they made you. You are my daughter. Nothing changes that." For the first time, her cold mask cracked. Her lips trembled. Tears slipped down her cheeks. She whispered, almost broken, "Why didn't you come sooner?" Aaron's chest shattered at the words. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. "I tried. I searched every day. And now that I've found you, I'll never let go." Outside, the enemy soldiers shouted, their voices closer. The escape was not over. It had only begun. Aaron pulled back, eyes fierce. "We move now, together." Lena nodded slowly, the faint glow in her eyes flickering between fear and strength. And in that moment, father and daughter ran again, side by side, into the burning night. The city ruins swallowed them whole. Broken towers leaned like dead giants, their shadows stretching across cracked streets. Aaron led Lena through the maze of rubble, his hand gripping hers as if letting go would mean losing her forever. Behind them, enemy voices echoed. The search was relentless. Dogs barked, drones buzzed, boots hammered the ground. But for the moment, the two of them were hidden. Aaron pulled her into a collapsed house, its roof caved in, its walls burned black. They crouched inside the hollow space, breathing hard, listening to the enemy patrols pass. Only when the noise faded did Aaron finally turn to her. His chest was still heaving, his voice rough, but his eyes burned with questions. "Tell me, what have they done to you?" Lena sat against the wall, her wrists raw from chains. The faint glow in her eyes flickered like dying fire. She looked away, silent. Aaron leaned closer, his voice softer now. "You are my daughter. Nothing they did changes that. But I need to know. I need the truth." For a long moment, Lena said nothing. Her fingers traced the cracks in the stone floor, her face pale and tired. Then slowly she began to speak. "They took me when I was young," she whispered. "The night the bombs fell, I was pulled from the rubble, but not by you. Not by anyone who cared. It was them. The enemy." Aaron's fist clenched. He had searched that night. He had dug through smoke and ash with his bare hands, calling her name until his voice broke. But she had been gone. "They told me you were dead," Lena continued. Her voice was flat, but her eyes shimmered. "They said my family burned in the fire. They told me I was alone. And when I cried, when I screamed for you, they told me screaming was useless." Her words were knives, each one cutting deeper into Aaron's heart. "They trained me," she said. "Not as a soldier, not exactly. As something else. They filled my head with lies, with stories that I belonged to them. They put me in machines over and over. They broke me, rebuilt me. They gave me power." She raised her hand. The faint glow returned, crackling between her fingers like tiny sparks. Aaron stared, both awed and horrified. "I don't know what I am anymore," Lena whispered. "Part of me feels human. But part of me feels made. They said I was the key to waking their machines, to opening doors that even they could not open. They called me their weapon." Aaron's throat tightened. He shook his head fiercely. "No, you are not a weapon. You are my daughter." She looked at him then, her eyes full of pain. "Am I? Or am I just something they created?" Her voice cracked, and suddenly she looked small again. Not the cold figure he had seen in the camp, not the weapon they tried to build, but the girl he remembered. Aaron crawled closer, his hands trembling as he placed the locket into her palm. "This says otherwise. This picture, this memory, this bond, that is real. They can twist your body, they can poison your mind, but they cannot erase this." Lena stared at the locket. Her hand shook as she opened it. The picture inside, and her younger self, smiling, alive, stared back at her. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She pressed the locket to her chest as if afraid it might vanish. "I remember," she whispered. "I remember the day you gave this to me. I remember your voice telling me it would keep me safe." Aaron's eyes blurred with tears. He reached out, his voice breaking, and it did. "It brought you back to me." She shook her head slowly, torn between hope and fear. "But they'll come again. You don't understand. They will never stop. They will hunt me until I am theirs again, and when they find us, they will kill you." Aaron cupped her face in his hands. His voice was steady now, fierce. "Then let them come. I've fought armies before. I'll fight them again. I'd rather die standing with you than live another day without you." Her lips trembled. She wanted to believe him, but deep inside she was afraid. Afraid that the enemy had already taken too much, afraid that her soul was no longer hers to give. She looked away, whispering, "You don't know what I've done for them. What they made me do?" Aaron's grip softened, but his eyes never left hers. "Then let me carry it with you. Whatever they forced on you, whatever they turned you into, it doesn't matter. You are still my child, and nothing they do will ever change that." For the first time since he found her, Lena let her head rest against his shoulder. Her body shook with silent sobs. Aaron held her tightly as if he could shield her from every shadow in the world. But outside, the enemy's voices grew louder again. The search was closing in, Lena whispered through her tears. "They're coming. He's coming. The commander will not stop until I am his again." Aaron's jaw tightened. He pulled her up to her feet, then let him come. "Because this time he'll have to go through me." The night was burning with voices. Shouts, footsteps, and the low hum of drones filled the ruined streets. Aaron pulled Lena deeper into the broken house, but they both knew hiding would not last. The enemy was closing in. Lena's hands shook as she held the locket tight against her chest. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark, the same strange light Aaron had seen before. She whispered, her voice trembling. "He's coming. The commander. He always finds me." Aaron gripped her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. "Then let him, because this time he'll find me too. And I'm not letting you go." Her lips trembled. For the first time, she didn't look like a weapon or a prisoner. She looked like a girl torn between two worlds. A heavy crash shook the ground. The walls of the ruined house split open. Soldiers poured in, their rifles glowing red, and behind them the commander stepped through the smoke, his black armor gleaming, his eyes burning with cruel confidence. "There she is," he said, his voice deep and sharp. "Bring her back to me." Lena froze, her body stiff as if her chains had returned. Aaron moved in front of her, knife in hand, his stance ready. "You'll take her over my dead body," Aaron growled. The commander smirked. "That can be arranged." The soldiers raised their weapons. Aaron grabbed Lena's hand and pulled her back. Bullets sliced through the air, sparks flying from stone. Aaron fought like a man with nothing left to lose. His knife flashed, his fist struck, his body moved with the fury of a father protecting his child. But there were too many. Lena's chest heaved as she watched him fight. Her eyes glowed brighter. She could feel the power inside her, the same power they had forced into her, the same power that had made her their weapon. The commander's voice cut through the chaos. "Lena, stop fighting. Come to me, you know where you belong." Her body froze. Memories slammed into her head. The years in chains, the lies whispered into her ears, the pain of machines tearing her apart and rebuilding her again. His voice was familiar, commanding, like a cage that still lived inside her. Aaron turned to her, his face bloody, his voice raw. "No, don't listen. You are mine. You are not his. You choose who you are, not him." The battle slowed around her. Soldiers circled, but none dared fire when the glow in her eyes grew stronger. Her heart pounded. One path led back to the commander. Safety, obedience, the life she had known for years. The other path led to Aaron. Dangerous, uncertain, but filled with something the enemy had never given her. Love. Her hands shook. Her breath caught. The power inside her swelled like fire. The commander extended his hand. "Come. You were made for this." Aaron extended his own hand. "Lena, you were born for more." Tears spilled down her face. For a moment she could not move. The chains of her past pulled tight, but then she saw the locket still clutched in her hand. She saw the picture inside, her younger self smiling, alive, human, and she made her choice. With a cry that split the night, Lena turned away from the commander. Her power erupted, a blast of light throwing soldiers across the rubble. The glow from her eyes spread through her whole body, shining like fire. Aaron shielded his face, but when he looked again, he saw her standing tall beside him. No longer broken, no longer silent, she spoke. Her voice steady. "I am not your weapon." The commander's smile faded. His eyes narrowed with rage. "Then you are nothing," he charged, his armor gleaming. But Lena raised her hands, power flooding from her like a storm. The ground shook, the walls cracked, the air burned. The commander was thrown back, his armor crashing against stone. Aaron moved beside her, ready to fight, but she placed a hand on his arm. "This is my fight too." The soldiers hesitated, fear creeping into their faces. None dared step closer. The commander rose, his armor sparking, his fury burning. "This isn't over. You think you are free? You will come back to me. You always do." Lena's voice was sharp as steel. "Not anymore." The commander staggered back into the smoke, his soldiers retreating with him. The night fell quiet again, broken only by the crackle of fire. Aaron collapsed to his knees, his body trembling from exhaustion. Lena knelt beside him, her face soft now, her eyes no longer cold but alive. He cupped her face in his hands. Whispering, "You chose," she nodded, tears running down her cheeks. "I chose you." He pulled her into his arms, holding her as tightly as he could. For years he had believed she was gone. For years he had carried only pain. But now she was here, real, alive, his. The war around them was far from over. The enemy would come again. The commander would not stop. But none of that mattered in that moment, because for the first time in years, father and daughter stood together, and together, they would face whatever came next.